Welcome back to Guru Beauty. I am Jodie and wanted to make a quick first impressions video for you for some items from Chanel's Fall 2015 beauty collection. These items are on counter, at least in Australia, from August the 2nd. The items that I'm using today from the Chanel collection that I'll be showing you, first of all, this little eyeshadow palette, Entrelacs is how I'm going to pronounce it today, and this is made in Italy. It's the standard Chanel packaging, and like many of the holiday palettes, you've got 5 neutral shades here. Now, at a glance, what I like about this palette is that you've got a couple of options of highlighter. You also have a matte medium toned brown, which immediately gets me a little bit more buy-in into a palette. You've also got a darker shade, that's a flat matte sort of darker black brown, and then you've also got a shimmery sort of cocoa shade as well. So, you know, in theory, a nice range of neutral shades. This is how it swatches on my hand without any kind of primer. You've got some pretty mediocre pigmentation at this point from my first impressions today. A little bit of shimmer, some gold shimmer in that first highlight shade, and then more of like a more subtle pinky highlight sheen on that bottom highlight. The darker black brown shade is not buttery, smooth, rich pigmented. It is a little bit more powdery, and I would say the same for the others. They're not sort of that rich, buttery, smooth texture that you've come to expect from brands like Urban Decay, VIDS, Tom Ford, those kinds of eyeshadows. They do require a little bit more packing on, but I think that's pretty standard for Chanel. They do certainly have more daytime friendly neutral colors that have more of like a daytime wash for those that don't want to put a whole lot of effort into blending. That's my thoughts on the Entrelacs palette. You will see it going on now. First of all, I'm applying that goldy highlight shade all over my lid. I do have to take a little bit more time to actually layer and pack on that shade to get the effect I want. I'm bringing it into the inner corner as well. Then with just what's left on the brush, I'm bringing that up onto my brow bone. Because it's got some shimmer to it, I really don't want to go hell for leather on it. Just with what's left on the brush, we'll just lighten that brow up a little bit more. Next, I'm going in with a fluffy domed eyeshadow blending brush just into that matte medium toned brown, and I'm just starting to define the crease. So I'm keeping the brush above the crease. I want to keep that lid sort of all that light gold shade. We're going to keep this very, very light, and you can see I'm just sort of blending it out on the outer half. Then once the brush is fairly clear of product, I am going to bring that further onto the inner half of the above crease area. Next up, I'm going to start with a little bit more precision now. I'm going in with a smaller, more precise eyeshadow blending brush into that darker brown shade. I'm not going to pick up too much onto that brush because I don't want a whole lot of that dark shade in the crease. I do just want to create a little bit more depth and dimension in that crease. So I am starting very light with that. Again, just buffing it out, blending it out into the outer half, and then with what's left on the brush, I'll bring it onto the inner half. I'm going to go now into that sort of medium toned shimmery cocoa shade. I'm going to blend that underneath my lash line. I've applied some gel liner off screen, and now I'm back just to use that bronzy brownie shade, that shimmery chocolatey shade, just to blend out my liner. I'm using a really, really fine smudger brush for that, just blending out the outer edges so it's a little bit smooth and flattering for me. And then I'll bring that a little bit onto the lower lash line as well. Next up, I do like to go back once I've done my liner, just with a more precise crease brush, just to finish off that area where the crease color meets the winged liner area until I'm happy with that. And that is the eyes all done. The next product from the collection that I want to share with you, I'm absolutely loving. This made it into my July beauty favorites after less than a week of trying it. This is the Joues Contrast blush. There is one powder blush in the Fall 2015 collection. This one is called 260 Alezane. Alezane is like a very rosy shade that has gold glitters in it. The glitters are very apparent when you swatch it, when you look in the pan, but they don't translate to the face. I don't feel like I've got a big glittery look on my face. I do blend the blush in, so perhaps the glitter sort of disperses that way. This is what it swatches like on my hand. You can see it's just like a, I don't know, it's like a peachy rosy shade. It's a beautiful neutral everyday shade. I am wearing it today, obviously, as you can see. It packs quite a bit of pigment. You don't need to use a lot of this blush to get just a lovely rosy sheen on your cheeks. I love it. I love the shade. I love the way it smells. Luckily, the glitter does not translate. So really pleased and would definitely recommend Alezane. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous blush. And then finally, I wanted to share with you my pick of lipsticks from the fall 2015 collection. This is the Rouge Allure in 162 Pensive. This is what it swatches like on my hand. It's like a peachy nude, and I have used Chanel's Nude lip liner just to define the outer edges and the outer corners a little bit more on my lips. When I do apply a nude to my lips, I just like to give it that little bit more dimension. So I did use the lip liner today, but it is a beautiful everyday sort of peachy nude. It feels beautiful on the lips, very moisturizing, wears off evenly and beautifully, reasonable wear time, and I love the way that this thing releases. The packaging is gorgeous. You've got just sleek black lipstick tubing with the beautiful Chanel written on the bottom, and then just a push button on the bottom, and the gold tube is released and ready to go with a lipstick. It's definitely the type of shade too that you could apply without a mirror. You don't need too much precision. It's a pop on and go. Wonderful, wonderful for touch-ups. They are the three products that I wanted to feature today from the Chanel Fall 2015 collection. I would say on first impressions, I am not terribly impressed with the Entrelacs palette. I think that there have been mixed reviews online. It's okay if you're a collector. I think you'd probably be interested in, you know, the beautiful embossing on the powder, but in terms of performance, it's nothing wonderful, and you are paying a pretty penny. So first impressions, I would probably give that a miss if I was recommending to you. I love the Alezane blush. It's absolutely beautiful. I would recommend that if you are looking to pick up something and spend a little bit more. And I also do really like the Pensive lipstick. It is a beautiful shade, and I'll definitely be getting a lot more use out of that. I did pick up a couple of other items. To be honest, I was more excited about this eyeshadow quad than the Entrelacs palette. It was requested that I actually talk a little bit more about my recommendations with regards to Entrelacs, but this is a beautiful combination of 4 shades. What particularly stands out to me certainly is that beautiful bronzy shade and that beautiful khaki shade. They are definitely like a softer, smoother, richer shadow in terms of how they swatch on my hand. I do love the look of that bronze and that khaki. This is going to be a richer, smoother, more pigmented dark shade compared to the one in the Entrelacs palette, and the highlight is, you know, a very, very fine shimmer. I think you could apply that to your brow bone. I will list down below what's limited edition and what's not, to the best of my knowledge, as well as prices. I'll usually put at least US and Australian prices there, and if you have any questions, please do let me know down below, as well as letting me know if you have any top picks or feedback from the Chanel Fall 2015 collection. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a gorgeous day, and don't forget, you are beautiful, but as much time and effort as we put into looking it, make sure you actually be it. And I will see you again really, really soon. Bye.